Russian scientific reports are detailing today the occurrence of what is being termed as a quantum anomaly, and which upon its approach to our planet this past month has stalled above the South Pole in the southern polar regions of Antarctica. These reports further state that the stalling of this quantum anomaly has been met equally with a marked decrease in both seismic activity and sunspots, though the increase in the Earth's internal tectonic plate pressures are building to what some Russian scientists are terming as catastrophic levels. Numerous independent American researchers have likewise noted the effects of this quantum anomaly, and as we can read as exampled by one of them, Michael Mandeville, in his report titled "The Earth's Wobble Has Paused," and which says, "For the past 21 days there has been no discernible wobble motion in the Earth. Have we come to a profound change in the geophysics of the Earth? Why this sudden change in what usually has been for the past 100 years or more a fairly regular, fairly predictable wobble track? As is well known, the wobble is generated by the differential pulling of the Moon and the Sun on the Earth's equatorial bulge, and any other concentrations of mass in or on the Earth. This differential pulling is caused by the oblique angles of the orbital planes which bring the Sun and the Moon alternatively above and below the equator, thus tending through orbital time to push one side of the Earth or the other to move faster or slower than the other side to the north or to the south. The Earth's wobble has a 7-year cycle which produces two extremes, a small spiraling wobble circle and a large spiraling wobble circle, about 3.5 years apart. The Earth was in October 2005 moving into the small spiraling circle, the min phase of the wobble, which should have slowly unfolded during 2006 and the first few months of 2007. Each spiraling circle takes about 14 months. But suddenly at the beginning of November 2005, the track of the location of the spin axis veered at a very sharp right angle to its circling motion. The track of the spin axis began to slow down and by about January 8, 2006, it ceased nearly all relative motion on the x and y coordinates which are used to define the daily changing location of the spin axis. This most novel event comes at a time when one of the world's greatest scientists, Professor James Lovelock, and who is the legendary discoverer of the Gaia theory, is now warning that the imminent total collapse of our world is at hand. And as we can read as reported by the Guardian Unlimited news service in their article titled "Life on Earth, but for how much longer?" and which says, "Humanity is about to get the elbow, it seems. Carbon dioxide is being pumped into the atmosphere at such rates that a point of no return, a tipping point, will be reached in a decade or so and global temperatures will abruptly soar. And that will be that," says Lovelock. "Ice caps will disappear and, without their reflectivity to bounce the sun's rays back into space, temperatures will rise even faster. Methane and carbon dioxide, currently trapped in frozen tundra, will then be released, leading to further warming. Dozens of other feedback cycles will be disrupted. Our planet will burn like a crisp and, along with it, civilization. Humanity, returned to its former ape-man status, will be lucky to hang on, grunting in the odd, deep cave. The world is fighting back," says Lovelock. "Like the Norns in Wagner's Der Ring des Nibelungen, we are at the end of our tether, and the rope, whose weaves define our fate, is about to break." It is grand, biblical stuff, like an evangelical preacher cursing his wayward congregation. "Miserable ecological sinners, we are all doomed. The bell has started tolling to mark our ending," Lovelock tells us. "Only a handful of the teeming billions now alive will survive." Thus science meets the book of Isaiah. Lovelock is one of our most distinguished ecologists, the environment movement's sanest pontificator and a scientist of considerable distinction. We should take note of his words, for all their fire and brimstone. Lovelock is renowned for his development, with biologist Lynn Margulis, in the early 1970s of the idea of Gaia, the dynamical physiological system that has kept our planet fit for life for more than 3 billion years. According to the theory, all breathing things, from algae to elephants, are locked in self-regulating cycles of reproduction and behavior which optimize conditions for life's sustenance. Or as Lovelock puts it, life on Earth actively keeps the surface conditions always favorable for whatever is the contemporary ensemble of organisms. The concept of Gaia was initially greeted with skepticism by researchers who thought it suggested Earth was a living entity. Indeed, many greenies still think, wrongly, of Gaia this way. In fact, a better analogy is that of a giant self-regulator valve, like those used by engineers to control machine outputs. Used this way, the idea went on to help scientists sharpen their predictive powers, particularly over climate change. Today Gaia is mainstream. Unfortunately, just as we have come to accept the notion, it has become plain that we are battering Gaia so badly she simply cannot take any more. Soon, she will switch to red-hot mode, as has happened before, and, by the time she has recovered, the works of man will have been turned to dust. The timing of this quantum anomaly, and viewed in the light of Professor Lovelock's Gaia theory, also coincides with the direness of how fast our Earth is indeed heating up, and as we can read as reported by the Globe and Mail News Service in their article titled "World at its Warmest of Past 1,200 Years, Researchers Show," and which says, "The last part of the 20th century is considered by many scientists to be the warmest period since modern record-keeping began around the 1850s, but new research indicates the era is even more remarkable. The warmth in which the Northern Hemisphere has basked since the middle of the 20th century has been the most widespread and longest period of unusual climate experienced at any time during at least the past 1,200 years, according to a research paper in the journal Science. The finding, by a pair of climate researchers from the University of East Anglia in Norwich, UK, was based on comparisons of the current warm period to other hot and cold intervals since the year 800. Meeting this news of our Earth's heating are the new reports coming from United States military scientists at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory verifying their Russian counterparts that along with global warming will come catastrophic volcanic activity, and as we can read as reported by the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory News Service in their article titled "Volcanoes Help Slow Ocean Warming Trend, Researchers Find," and which says, "Ocean temperatures might have risen even higher during the last century if it weren't for volcanoes that spewed ashes and aerosols into the upper atmosphere," researchers have found. The eruptions also offset a large percentage of sea level rise caused by human activity. Using 12 new state-of-the-art climate models, the researchers found that ocean warming and sea level rise in the 20th century were substantially reduced by the 1883 eruption of the Krakatoa volcano in Indonesia. Volcanic aerosols blocked sunlight and caused the ocean surface to cool. That cooling penetrated into deeper layers of the ocean, where it remained for decades after the event, said Peter Gleckler, an atmospheric scientist at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, LLNL. "We found that volcanic effects on sea level can persist for many decades. To the current quantum anomaly stalled over our southern atmosphere's polar regions, it must be first explained what is quantum physics, and as we can read, quantum physics is a branch of science that deals with discrete, indivisible units of energy called quanta as described by the quantum theory. There are 5 main ideas represented in quantum theory. Energy is not continuous, but comes in small but discrete units. The elementary particles behave both like particles and like waves. The movement of these particles is inherently random. It is physically impossible to know both the position and the momentum of a particle at the same time. The more precisely one is known, the less precise the measurement of the other is. The atomic world is nothing like the world we live in. But to the paradox is that though quantum physics is indeed nothing like the world we live in, it is nevertheless the reality of all human beings' existence as it underlies all matter, and which then means that our observable world is no more than a thought or probability, and that the quantum anomaly currently stalled above our southern polar regions is either the harbinger of our doom, or the last chance being offered to humanity for its recognition, and hence our saving. To one of the world's greatest quantum physicists, the former American NASA physicist, Barbara Brennan, it is worth noting her words, "Through experiments over the past few decades, physicists have discovered matter to be completely mutable into other particles or energy and vice versa, and on a subatomic level, matter does not exist with certainty in definite places, but rather shows tendencies to exist. Quantum physics is beginning to realize that the universe appears to be a dynamic web of interconnected and inseparable energy patterns. If the universe is indeed composed of such a web, there is logically no such thing as a part. This implies we are not separated parts of a whole but rather we are the whole. Also, to one of the greatest divisions of humanity, our racial heritages, new research is also now confirming the historical unity of all human beings, and as we can read as reported by South Korea's Omi News Service in their article titled Early Humans Made Love, Not War, and which says, a new analysis of recently derived human gene trees by Alan R. Templeton, of Washington University in St. Louis, shows 3 distinct major waves of human migration out of Africa instead of just 2, and provides strong statistical refutation of the out-of-Africa displacement theory. Templeton said that the fossil record indicates a significant change in brain size for modern humans 700,000 years ago as well as the adaptation and expansion of a new stone tool culture first found in Africa and which later, 700,000 years ago, expanded throughout Eurasia. By the time you're done with this phase you can be 99% confident that there was recurrent genetic interchange between African and Eurasian populations, he said. So the idea of pure, distinct races in humans does not exist. We humans don't have a tree relationship, rather a trellis. We're intertwined. Recent findings of quantum physics about our universe being made up of an interconnected unbroken wholeness, examples of non-locality phenomena and the observer effect, implying that consciousness underlies all reality, has striking parallels with our ancient esoteric concepts that all reality is the manifestation of an infinite singularity which some choose to call Source, and most others call God. And today, as this quantum anomaly is stalled in the heavens of our Earth, and as likewise the drums of war beat ever louder, this probability, and to which may indeed lie humanity's last hope, is seemingly offering an alternative to all humanity, if only it could be seen and heard, and in seeing and hearing be understood. For the power that lies inherent in this quantum anomaly can be used equally for peace and life, or catastrophic destruction and death, and in the single mind of a child the decision of this world, and this age, now rests. Jesus said, if your leaders say to you, look, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is within you and it is outside you. When you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will understand that you are children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you live in poverty, and you are the poverty. Book of Thomas, saying 3.